Throughout Overwatch's history, we have seen so many players dominate, shove others into lockers, and have their prowess put into our faces to be impressed over. Then, there are others who could have reached this point of stardom, but were sadly never utilized to reach said status. Finally, we have ones who were somewhere in the middle, came in, showed the world a Big Johnson, then returning back to their cave where no one heard from them again. Our topic of today, Who Are You, falls into that category better than anyone I've seen play competitive Overwatch. You'll understand once his history is laid out. Just watch this in awe of what this single man has been through. Way back in 2016, when 85% of the competitive Overwatch subreddit was in diapers, Who Are You was grinding during the Apex days, sending sorry souls to the underworld on his signature pick, Genji. This guy was a freakazoid, taking families and children away from all of his opponents, on a little team called Lunatic High. If you're not aware of this team, first, I'm very sorry to hear that, and two, classics like Ryu Jae-hong, Toby, and Zunbo were here, who eventually became a large part of Seoul Dynasty in 2018 Overwatch League. Who Are You was their Genji player, and he was unbelievably good at this hero. It's a true argument, but there is one to say Who Are You was the best Apex Genji. Real quick, leave a comment who's better, Hacksaw or Who Are You. If you didn't watch during this era, just say I'm not an old ass, and that's an acceptable answer too. Regardless, Who Are You was a demon. Lunatic High won both Apex Season 2 and 3, an elite level team, so everyone was ready. Onlookers who saw Who Are You got excited when Overwatch League was announced, knowing he is going to fry there. Our only problem, Who Are You was underaged. With the limit being 18, the kid was not eligible. A sad reality is how people ended up forgetting about Who Are You's talent. Other players throughout Season 1 Overwatch League were making names for themselves, Prophet, Gesture, Jonak, one surely everyone has heard of. Who Are You was still around, just playing in contenders. When this game actually had money, most Overwatch League teams had academies where they'd have players compete and try to siphon them to Tier 1. After Lunatic High all went to Seoul Dynasty, Who Are You competed in 2018 on a Fusion Academy, sporting some really good results, winning both Season 1 and 2 in dominant fashion. Fast forwarding over 2019, since no one likes that year, GOATs got really boring after a while, which tainted this entire season, essentially being COVID before COVID. Who Are You was gone during this year, even in contenders, like maybe he took a break. I couldn't find anything stating what happened, but not that it really matters because the most interesting parts are coming later on in his career. The boy. He finally turned 18 in 2020, Rollock was here, DPS could actually play the game again, New York Excelsior was the team who ended up grabbing Who Are You, and the boy can play. Doing great in contenders, won multiple finals in 2018, it was going to be a spectacular time. Ones who remembered him gave a lot of praise, hyping the whole community up. Who Are You came out the gates on a new roster, only playing Mei since a rush style appeared to be the meta at this point in time, until he just randomly stopped. I'm not sure what happened behind the curtains here, but looking over some matches, the guy would play Mei for the first few, then randomly get subbed out to have Libero play the exact same hero. I honestly don't understand it. There was no tangible differences between their play that a viewer could see. Surely there must have been some reason for it, who knows? Regardless, this was disappointing for the Apex fans who finally had the opportunity to see him play on the big stage. Until the moment happened. A change was made. A little thing that created an entire meta. Genji's damage was increased by 2, while having a tighter spread. This made Genji unbelievably overpowered at the top level. He was absolutely farming. Now was the time for Who Are You to come in, lay that Johnson out once again like the good old Apex days. Everyone was excited to see this play. Except, it didn't happen. No Who Are You Genji play. Why? Because earlier on in the season, NYXL acquired Hacksaw. After the legendary Vancouver Titans roster implosion at the beginning of 2020, all those players split and NYXL got Hacksaw, which in turn made Who Are You never get playtime. One of the reasons I posed that question earlier of which player is better, Hacksaw or Who Are You. Apparently NYXL thought Hacksaw. The team ended up coming 4th in that tournament with Guangzhou Charge winning 4-2 against Shanghai Dragons, an outcome that no one expected, especially not Shanghai's coaching staff. Shanghai was the best APAC team all throughout 2020, having a star-studded lineup, annihilating teams, winning 2 stages. It was a good time for them and fans alike. Shanghai was an actual shit-stained team in the past, so seeing them win anything was satisfying. Nothing but win. Aside from when Fleta needed to be put in a hyper carry style of Genji. Fleta is obviously good, he won MVP of that season, but I feel it's more on his intelligence of play rather than raw mechanics that made him good. 2020 Summer Showdown needed a player who can out-mechanic others on Genji. In my eyes, the factor of Shanghai losing that tournament. Fleta just couldn't cut the mustard here. Clearly, Coach Moon was not happy. Punching walls, citizens, just absolutely losing it. This wasn't part of the plan. We don't fucking lose. After 2020 came to a close, Shanghai made some roster moves, dropped a bunch of players, Fearless went to Dallas, Fate became their main tank player, and also picked up Who Are You. We were starting to get to the point where Who Are You could be good, but he's not really playing anymore. Hype was essentially gone for the poor guy. His first year, he was benched for most of it. The game progresses, players just get better and better, and naturally, no one thought much of Who Are You on Shanghai Dragons, especially because he was behind one of the best DPS lines in the history of this game. Fleta and Lip were no slouches. Unless it was specifically Genji or Doomfist, why would anyone play Who Are You over Fleta? The kid just won MVP. And fans were right. Who Are You just rotted away on the bench. Shanghai won match after match, tournament after tournament, being head and shoulders, not the shampoo, the best team on earth. Who Are You only got to play during matches against the Valiant, one of Overwatch's worst teams to ever be assembled, so what is anyone gonna take from that? Literally nothing. Shanghai eventually won Overwatch League. Who Are You acquired his first championship by doing absolutely nothing for it, 0 maps, 0 anything, just laughing his way to the bank. I'm more than positive lots of fans forgot he was even on the roster. Develop and Molly were here too. I doubt anyone knows who those people are now, but those are both champions for doing nothing as well. After this year, Shanghai made no roster moves aside from dropping Molly and Develop. The first Overwatch 2 season, we got to see real beta gameplay, no more leaked footage at 144p recorded on a phone. It was the real deal. I was questioning, why is Who Are You here again? Like, I get the PTSD, I understand. You lost because you didn't have a Genji player in Summer Showdown 2 years ago. We all get it. Everyone was just left with more questions than answers. For me, Who Are You was just wasted talent rotting on a bench. We all knew he wasn't going to play, so why not just let him go so we can go play on a different team? Maybe he was just happy collecting free money. Maybe Moon's trauma was too strong. I don't know what was going on. Regardless of that, the power rankings all had Shanghai as the #1 team going into the next season. Pure domination will ensue again. Who Are You will eat his ramen or whatever he does, and everyone will be happy. Except that didn't happen. Shanghai really struggled to adapt to 5v5, still having a good ending season record, just a lot of close matches that shouldn't have been close. Fleta looked as if he wasn't turning the monitor on, tank rotations up the wazoo, it was a mess. Just so many problems occurring. Until there was a meta. A change. This time it was no buffs, but the release of Junker Queen. Being a broken hero if I've ever seen one, it shocks me how the balance team didn't see how overpowered Commanding Shout was going to be, but this enabled a very rare double main support meta of Lucio and Brig, obviously Junker Queen, Sojourn, and Genji. It was time. The boy. He was ready. Onlookers were obviously skeptical. It's only been a year and a half since he last played an official match against a team that isn't shit. Play changes over time. Who Are You was dominating on Genji in 2017. That was 5 years ago. He's probably fallen off. How wrong we all were. I'm going to say right away, I've never seen someone carry so hard on Genji at this level of play, like literally ever. The boy was winning team fights on his own, straight mechanical warlord. Understanding the perfect min-maxing of Genji, if you want to see raw dog, unbelievable gameplay, just watch Who Are You's POV in 2022 Summer Showdown. Nobody held a candle to the things he was doing. Genuinely mind-blowing things were happening. This team was so dominant, they only lost 2 maps. Not matches, maps, throughout the entire tournament. All on the back of the boy, who literally never played. A 0 playtime champion, no officials in over a year. Like, how is this even possible? Is the boy just locking Genji 15 hours a day over the last 5 years or what? Analysts, viewers, surely players and coaches were just like, what am I watching right now? Sadly, after the summer showdown, Who Are You would be permabenched until Shanghai lost the season during the playoffs. The world was sad. After what we just got to witness, he doesn't get another shot. Shanghai dropped their entire roster aside from Fleta going into the next year. Like, I get it though, 2023 being Overwatch League's final year, teams were downsizing, doing nefarious practices. Shanghai ended up becoming a very bad team due to making Fleta tank, putting flex supports on main support, just no good. Even with all of this chaos, Who Are You continued in contenders. Halfway through the season, he was picked up by O2 Blast, one of the most storied groups in Overwatch history. Viewers were finally able to see him once again, this time understanding how good he actually is. It was also very different from previous years of contenders. They were actually able to go against Overwatch League teams and make it to the playoffs. I'm not going to explain the bracket because even to this day, I don't understand it. The design was atrocious, but that doesn't even matter. Who Are You had his chance to actually reach stardom with his own 2 hands, not being a bench rider, being a starter, and O2 Blast was beating Overwatch League teams. During that final bracket trying to make playoffs, O2 went against Guangzhou, they won. Went against Seoul Dynasty, they won. Finally facing off against Seoul Infernal, where they won again. Seoul Dynasty made it through the lower bracket where a rematch against O2 was had, and people were on the edge of their seats rooting for the underdog. Having a contenders team actually make it to grand finals would be amazing and show there was so much more talent in tier 2 that most haven't seen yet. Granted, I should mention how APAC teams aside from Hangzhou Spark were nowhere near as good as the North American teams in 2023, still an outcome a lot of people wanted. O2 Blast at playoffs would have been an amazing storyline. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on who you ask, Belisria started using performance-enhancing drugs to never miss a single spear on Orisa, where Seoul Dynasty won in a 4-1 fashion. Who Are You had fantastic performances on Genji all throughout, still giving us 2022 Summer Showdown numbers. But that ended his saga. We'd never see him again. It's the last of the season. No one knew about Champion Series at the time, and poor Who Are You couldn't do this all on his own. Until there was a meta. A classic move Overwatch always did was release patches right before large tournaments. This time it was buffing Zarya to another community freakout per usual. Zarya is broken, overpowered, Zarya will change the game, it will ruin everything. People screamed from the rooftops. Overwatch League teams were scrambling, Atlanta was looking for a new tank, Houston signed Bernard, things were getting serious. Serious enough for Florida Mayhem to sign Who Are You. Genji was rumored to be played a lot in this meta, and as we've seen so far, this boy can play Genji. He's mechanically unparalleled. No one is questioning his talent anymore. We all know. And it's time for Who Are You to actually earn his ring. Except he didn't. As I said, the Zarya buff was completely overblown. Only a single team ran Zarya, that being Dallas Fuel, who got flattened by the Houston Outlaws. So that means Zarya was not played, and neither was Genji. So Who Are You sat on the bench, getting a free paycheck and a second free ring. The only person who has ever won Overwatch League 2 times without playing a single map. As the league came to an end, Who Are You won 3 stage titles and 2 championships while only earning 1 stage win. Having the strangest career in all of Overwatch, a one trick that won more than most players who actually played consistently throughout the league's history. Even Prophet, considered the GOAT by many, who hasn't won close to as many tournaments as Who Are You. It's like actually unbelievable. So far, the boy is not on a team for Champion Series. No one truly knows if he'll be playing once again, but I genuinely hope Who Are You joins like a Team Falcons or something just to get some more bench wins under his belt. No one should even argue anymore. He is the best Genji of all time. Even though he didn't play a lot throughout his career, when he did, the Genji performances were like none seen before. The fact Who Are You was considered the best Genji back in 2017 Lunatic High, and Who Are You can whip out the Genji in modern era now, just straight carrying his team, is unbelievable. I'm curious to hear all of your thoughts on Who Are You's tenure. Make sure to leave them in the comments below. Is he actually the most interesting player of all time? I would say he is. A true and utter bench god.